PTE Grammar Rules. English grammar is one of the most difficult and stressful subjects for many people and many students, as it has many confusing and complicated rules. However, grammar plays a very important role in the question types in PTE exam, such as summary written text, essay writing, reading fill the blank, reading and writing fill the blanks, reorder paragraph, summarize spoken text, and of course, write from dictation. It took me four attempts to finally get my desired score of 79 plus in all sections. I bought and read so many grammar books when I prepared for my PTE examination, so you don't have to if you watch my video. I have made a video series of PTE grammar rules that you must know if you want to achieve your PTE target score. Currently, I have made 15 videos of grammar rules and continuing to be updated on my channel. So you might consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done it yet. Each video consists of explanation and examples of each grammar rule to make sure that you will be able to apply these rules in your PTE exam or not. I will make each video and explain each grammar rule in my own words so that it will be clear and very easy to understand. And of course, I will make each video as short and sweet as possible, straight to the point, no fluff, because I know that you don't have much time. Relative clauses whose, whom, and where. So let's have a look. The first one, whose. When we were driving home, we saw some people standing by the road. Their car had broken down, so we stopped to help them. We helped some people whose car had broken down. What does it mean, whose car? Whose car means their car had broken down. So we already see who, but whose is different. Whose mean their car. Let's have a look some more examples so that you can better understand. We use whose mostly for people. For example, Vado is a woman whose husband is dead. So her husband is dead. Here, whose husband means her husband. I met someone whose brother I went to school with. It means I went to school with his or her brother. So now if you're still confused, let's compare who and whose. I met a man who knows you. So it means I met a man, he knows you. You know what I mean? But then when we use whose, I met a man whose sister knows you. What does this mean? I met a man, his sister knows you. I hope that you understand the difference between who and whose. Do not confuse whose and whose. The pronunciation of these two words is the same, but whose is mean who is or who has. I have a friend who's learning Arabic. What does this mean? I have a friend who is learning Arabic. I have a friend who's just started learning Arabic. This sentence means I have a friend who has just started, present perfect. I have a friend who has just started learning Arabic. And then I have a friend whose sister is learning Arabic. This means that I have a friend, his or her sister is learning Arabic. Now let's have a look at the section B, whom. Whom is possible instead of who when it is the object of the verb. So we can use whom instead of who. Is it the object of the verb? George is a person whom I admire very much. Why we can use whom in this case? Because I admire someone. I admire someone. So George is the object in this case. George is a person whom I admire very much. You can also use a preposition plus whom. So in the exam, PTE academic exam, you're gonna see this kind of question a lot. To whom, from whom, with whom, etc. It's important to have friends with whom you can relax. Why we have to use with whom? Because the verb you can relax with them, relax with someone. That's why we have to use with whom. Whom is a formal word and we do not often use it in spoken English. We usually prefer to say a person I admire a lot or a person who that I admire a lot. But in written English or in the exam, we have to use whom. Friends you can relax with or friends who that you can relax with. Now let's have a look at section C. How about where? We use where in a relative clause to talk about place. I recently went back to the town where I grew up. So I grew up there. There is the place where I grew up. We have to use where. The restaurant where we had lunch was near the airport. So we describe the restaurant where we had lunch was near the airport. I would like to live in a place where there is plenty of sunshine. I would like to live somewhere there is plenty of sunshine. And then we are going to finish this section with section D, the day, the time, the reason. We say the day we got married, the year I was born, the last time they met. I can't meet you on Friday, that's the day I'm going away. You see here we use the day I'm going away. The last time I saw her, she looked great. The last time I saw her, she looked great. Normally we don't use where in this case. You can also use that. The last time that I saw her, she looked great. We say the reason I'm calling you, the reason she didn't get the job, etc. For example, the reason I'm calling you is to ask your advice. The reason I'm calling you is to ask your advice. You can also use that. The reason that I'm calling you, or you can say the reason why I'm calling you to ask your advice. Now let's do some exercises for relative clauses whose, whom, or where. So the question is, for each situation, write a sentence with whom, more formal, and without whom, less formal. Let's have a look at the example. You met a friend, you hadn't seen him for years. More formal, we can say, I met a friend whom I hadn't seen for years. And then if it's less formal, I met a friend I hadn't seen for years. Now let's try number 2. You need a lawyer, a friend of yours recommended one. So for more formal, we can say, I went to see a lawyer whom a friend of mine had recommended. So we have to use whom for the more formal. And for less formal, we can say, I went to see a lawyer a friend of mine had recommended. Simply, you just leave out the whom. Then number 3, you called your bank with a problem. You spoke to somebody, but he wasn't very helpful. For more formal, we can say, the person to whom I spoke. Because spoke to, right, come from the verb to speak to someone or somebody. So the person to whom I spoke wasn't very helpful. For the less formal, the person I spoke to, you see, is a bit different. You have to be careful about the position of the preposition. I spoke to wasn't very helpful. This part of the sentence is the same. Helpful. So be careful here, yeah? The person to whom I spoke and the person I spoke to is different position, right? And then number 4, Tom was in love with a woman, but she wasn't in love with Tom. For more formal, we say, the woman with whom Tom was in love wasn't in love with Tom or with him. But for less formal, we can say the woman Tom was in love with. Tom was in love with, wasn't in love with him. That's it. Now let's finish the exercise. Complete the sentences using who, whom, whose, or where. For example, we helped some people whose car had broken down. What does it mean, whose car had broken down? It means their car had broken down. Now, number two, a cemetery is a place that people are buried. So, a cemetery is a place, where people are buried. We have to use relative clause where. And then a pacifist is a person. So, a person, of course, we have to use who. Who doing what? Who believes that all wars are wrong. The pacifist is a person who believes that all wars are wrong. And then number four, an orphan is a child. Parents are dead. So we have to use who or whose. We have to use whose in this case because why? Because an orphan is a child. His or her parents are dead. It's like number one. Talk about the possessive pronoun. We have to use whose, not who. And then number five, what's the name of the hotel? Of course, hotel is the place where your parents are staying. Number six, this school is only for children. First language is not English. We have to use who, whom, whose, or where. We have to use whose first language is not English. WHOSE, same concept, like question number one and number four. Because this school is specifically only for children, their first language is not English. Then number seven, the person from I bought my car is a friend of my father's. So I bought my car from someone who is a friend of my father's. The person from whom, WHOM, because I bought my car from this person. I bought my car from someone. So you have to write from first and then you add whom. And then number eight, I live in a fairly village. So village is a place where it's easy. We have to use where to talk about a place. I live in a fairly village where everybody knows everybody else. So fairly village means where everybody knows everybody else. PTE Ultimate Guide to Score 79 Plus. It took me 4 consecutive attempts to get my desired score of 79 plus in all the 4 sections in order to apply for Australian permanent residency. I have been through the painful experience that I will never forget, and I don't want you to experience it. With my painful and also wonderful experience after taking PTE exam for 4 times, I was able to create the PTE Ultimate Guide to Score 79 Plus. In this guide, I am going to share literally everything about PTE exam, all my secrets, some preparation steps, or tips and tricks that helped me crack the exam. I will be explaining each and every task, in total 20 tasks, in 4 sections with the marking criteria, the strategy, or the easy templates that I used in the real exam, and things you need to be careful. You just need to read this guide and go implement it. This is the best thing that I can give to you. This guide is very in-depth, packed with useful tips and tricks, and of course, it will help you to get your desired score as quickly as possible as soon as you take action. It's definitely worth your time, no fluff, straight to the point. The main reason I decided to create this guide for you is mainly because I think if we practice enough and smart, you don't deserve to take PTE exam more than 2 attempts to get your desired score. I don't want you to waste your time, money, and energy again and again. If you want to download this guide, you just need to check the link down below in the video description box.